Well, I got older. That's the first thing, which is good. And I don't know, really, it's like I felt after 1985 and all the attention and all the success and all that it was, I kind of had to get off the bandwagon, out of the pop circus for a while. I mean, I didn't think it would be this while. And for a long time I was quite nervous about the time we were taking, but eventually just got used to it being a way of life. The studio became very comfortable, very safe, and in the end, finally I kind of realised that this was definitely right, and this felt like there was almost an inevitability about what we were doing, that we should leave it this long. I mean, I kind of feel that to create you must destroy, and that's what was going on. I think that we could have really followed up what we'd done relatively quickly. We could have maintained our position and looked after our career, but really that wasn't of prime importance to me. What was important, and what is important, is music, and so that's why the length of time. It took us a long time to really sort out the direction. When we toured in 1985, we only had 2 albums worth of material, and after about 3 or 4 months of doing the same set, we kind of got tired of the restrictions which drum machines and synthesizers put upon you, and there wasn't really anywhere we could take it further. So this, I think, is kind of led us finally to getting involved with real musicians, live musicians, and going, in a sense, back to basics. Yeah, my father was French. He is no longer with us. He was French. He was born in Paris. He was a Parisian, and he unfortunately didn't speak French in the home. I picked it up from school, but I learnt the intonation from him. Because he would sort of say things like, "Roland, make me some coffee," and that was kind of what I get used to the sound. And also, when we were with him, because my parents split up when I was about 7. When we were with him, it's quite interesting because I think we were in sort of French time, and a lot of, his culture, I think, was really much the atmosphere in the home, and coffee. It was coffee. It wasn't tea, okay, and it was things like that, and that time felt more cyclical and fluid rather than when we left. When my parents split up, my mother sort of took us away, one morning when Dad was asleep, to stay with our cousins, her sister. It's really funny because it was a big shock to me, because I was so used to how we did things at home, and all of a sudden there was this rigidity, and at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock there was afternoon tea, and in the morning you got up, you did this and did that, blah blah blah. It was incredible, and that was like, wow, the difference I felt all of a sudden being thrust into a very orthodox and English way of doing things. Well, I think, again, it's not, we don't hold any real image of what we are. We try and make good music, and if it means bringing other people in, then that's fine. The thing is that what happened was, on tour, after playing, as I said earlier, after playing for 3 or 4 months, just 2 albums worth of material with synthesizers and drum machines, and we were in Kansas. This is the story. I've said it millions of times, but the story goes something like this: we were playing a gig to thousands of people, and the album was number 1, and we had all these lights, and there were 7 of us on stage, and we were pretty much at the top of the pop world, but it felt like a very vacuous experience. It felt it didn't have any meaning, but it didn't have any soul. Okay, and we went back to the hotel and showered and changed, came down, met up in the bar, This time you had to pay $1.50 to get in the bar, because there was a woman playing called Olita Adams. And it was quite incredible, because you felt the place was filled with a certain atmosphere. You didn't feel like you could, it was right to talk. And it seemed quite sacred and holy place. And her audience, she had a small select audience, a lot of black men, businessmen in suits and that kind of stuff. And we sort of sat at the bar and just listened. And it was really incredible. She'd take seconds pause between chords on certain songs, you know. The drummer was playing so softly that he wasn't touching the drums sometimes. You know, it was that kind of thing. And it dawned on me that here was something real, and here was something which we'd at one point tried to do. She was singing, she was crying when she was singing, and we were sat at the bar crying. And I thought, yes, I've really got to go back to basics, and I've got to learn what this woman is doing and get in touch with the places in the body from which she is pulling up from, you know, the depths of feeling. And so that's it. So although she is black, and although she comes from a gospel tradition, I think there is something which goes beyond the colour of anybody's skin and goes beyond race. And that's kind of what, you know, when I listened to the last two albums, there was such a desire to express oneself, plus this amount of repression that was coming down, and it was like a lid on it. And the result was a kind of very white, sort of neurotic angst, sort of intense sound, you know, a lot of the time. And I thought, yeah, well, with her it sounds fluid, with her it sounds real. And I thought, yeah, that's the area where I have to go. Well, the things really did get a bit out of hand last time because of the amount of success, and that I did feel quite strongly about just coming back down to earth. So all I hope is that, you know, if this record does well, that we can kind of maintain a very mundane or, you know, profile, that we can just keep things in control and it doesn't go berserk, that's all. I think it's one of those weird and synchronous events, because, to be honest with you, the sunflower idea came from a piece of graffiti which is outside my house in London, and it says, "I love a sunflower." It's been there ever since I bought the place, and I never knew quite what it meant. I love a sunflower. So I was trying to come up with words for sowing the seeds, you know. Every minute, every hour, I love a sunflower, and I believe in love power, you know, that kind of thing. So that's where it came from. And then, funnily enough, as it transpires, that during the last European MP election, the Green Party in England culled about 20% of the votes, and their emblem is the sunflower. And I didn't know this, but it's one of these, the way these things happen, the way different things come to the surface and into our consciousness is certainly by symbols, I think, a lot of the time. And it just seems to be relevant in another way as well.